Okay, this is question 2, and the question says phone calls cost y pounds for x minutes. It says the graph gives values of y for values of x from 0 to 5. The very first question, quite a lot of you didn't read the question properly. It doesn't say to write down the value of the y-intercept. It says give an interpretation of the intercept of the graph on the y-axis. So it says interpretation. It's not talking about what it is, it's talking about what it means, what you can interpret it as. So the interpretation of this y-intercept here is that you could say it's the cost of a call that is 0 minutes long. And then you could also write that it could count as the startup cost of the call. So either one of those would have got you the mark for that question. For the second part there, it says give an interpretation of the gradient of the graph. Again, it's not asking for the gradient of the graph, it's asking for an interpretation, what you think the gradient of the graph means. Quite a lot of you had a long sentence about how if you go up 1 minute, then you go up £1.50, blah blah blah, but it just wants an interpretation. You could just say that it's the cost per minute, because gradient, if we're going across one, tells you how much the cost is going to go up. If we go across 1 more minute, it tells you how much the cost is going to go up. Part B of this question spoke about finding the equation of the straight line in the form y equals mx plus c. So m is the gradient and c is the y-intercept. So now it's asking you for those gradients and for that y-intercept, the actual numbers. So if I go back up to the graph, we can see here that the y-intercept, that is at 0.5 or 50p, and if we want the gradient, we need to do the difference in y divided by the difference in x. If I look at this point and this point here and drew my triangle, it looks something like this. So I've got 1 across and I've got 1.5 up. So I've got 1.5 divided by 1, my gradient is 1.5. So finding the equation of a straight line, I can write that y equals mx plus 0.5, and then I know that my gradient, we just worked it out, was 1.5, so I have y equals 1.5x plus 0.5, and then that ends up being your final answer. Like I said before, make sure you read the question. Interpretation means what it is talking about, what it means, not the actual value of it. That answer would get you the full 5 marks on that question.